Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 287.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
Yes, welcome. If you are new here, please say hi down below.
Now, here on Two Crazy Ketos, we do different things like recipe videos and we do product reviews. We talk about various keto topics, and every Monday we go live on Keto Beyond the Couch because life exists beyond the couch.
You can find us in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X.
And we have a website, which is twocrazyketos.com, and that's where you're going to find all of our different recipes. Now, we do upload at least 5 new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And don't forget to hit the little bell icon. That way, every single time I am so happy to see you live again, you'll be alerted to it, because I really am.
It's been a little while.
It has been. I feel like we've been away for a really long time, so I'm super happy to be here this morning and show off my birthday shirt that Donna Jo got me. So fun. It says, I need 10 coffees, a ribeye steak, and a whole lot of Jesus. I feel like she gets me. Like that. That's absolutely getting me. Thank you so much for that. We do have a new ship to add to our collection.
We went on that.
We went on the great big, I guess it was called the North Star.
Does that move?
It looks like it. Oh, that's cool, because that's what it did. That was really fun, but also slightly terrifying, because it was like an observation orb on the top, and it would go 300 feet above the boat and then go over to the side of the boat where you're no longer attached to the boat. You're just like hovering over the water. We actually saw a whale while
awesome.
we were up there. That was super cool.
So yeah, we are home for a little while.
Yeah.
Right after Keto Beyond the Couch, we're going to head up to the property and get back to work.
Start working.
So I'm excited to get back up, but also realize we have a lot to do. For those of you who are going on the low-carb cruise, and for everybody else, so we did film a vlog. We have 2 videos coming out on the cruise. One is pretty much for anybody if you're traveling, things that we always bring with us. The other one is our vlog and everything we did. Then we're going to do another video. People have messaged us is like, with going on the low-carb cruise, how can I save money? So we're going to make another video for, it's kind of geared towards a low-carb cruise, but anybody who's going to cruise to Alaska, how you can do it on a budget.
Because we're on a budget.
Alaska can be expensive because the excursions are all United States excursions. They're about double the price of if you go on a Caribbean cruise. But we found a way that you can cut that down by as much as 75%.
I like 75% off. Do you like 75% off? I do.
So yeah, we're super excited. We got a bunch of videos edited. We're going to be heading up. Hopefully we're back on our 5 videos a week, Rachel's shorts, all of that kind of stuff. Make sure you're following us over on Mighty Networks, members.twocrazyketos.com. And then Instagram, Rachel is putting up daily stories. I know not everybody's in Instagram, but that is where she can just add on throughout the day.
Now, hopefully we already put the link to the Keto Diet Summit in today's Keto Beyond the Couch.
Probably not.
If we haven't, we'll make sure that we leave that, so come back and visit it. But the Keto Diet Summit is the next conference that's coming up.
But it's online.
Even before Keto Palooza. It's going to be taking place September 15th through the 17th. You want to use our link so you get your best deal. It's free for...
If you watch it the day it comes out.
Basic, like a basic package. They do have some VIP options available. And with that comes free things from all the speakers. And there are a lot of speakers for this conference.
And in addition, you get to go back and rewatch things that you may have missed. So super excited about that. Like I said, we're going to be heading up to the property, and we got some cool videos planned for that as well. So if you are new here, this is Keto Beyond the Couch. We do this every Monday at 10 a.m. We try to do it live as much as possible. And in Keto Beyond the Couch, we like to go over questions and comments that we've had from subscribers for the last week, as well as celebrate wins, successes, because we are all about community. We're going to jump right in with the very first one. This is from Jennifer. This is a Keto College Adjunct Professor of the Week. This is an inspirational post. And Jennifer said, "It is impossible to heal in the environment that made you sick."
Wow. That is so powerful. And you're right. And you can think about that when it comes to just like your work lifestyle, your like what you're eating, how are you moving your body, all of these things. Take a look at that environment. I'm really excited for what we're speaking about at the Keto Diet Summit, because we're going to help people when it comes to being successful within a 24-hour period of time, because that's the way that we have to live.
Yes.
But we're going to probably need to change some environmental factors so we can line up with what Jennifer is saying.
I'm super excited for this because, listen, we're busy. I know you're busy. I mean, we're not the only people that are busy.
No.
And we only have 24 hours in the day. And I like it when you feel like, oh, I feel like I got so much accomplished today. I must have had extra hours. No, you didn't. It just means something else got sacrificed.
Right, exactly.
If we get more done than normal in a day, it means we sacrifice something else. So in our talk, we basically go over how to take back that 24 hours, how you can get the most out of your health journey in 24 hours. And the only place you're going to be able to watch it is actually by going to the Keto Diet Summit. And again, if you watch it on the day it comes out, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. But if you want to be able to watch it, and if you think you're going to miss it or something like that, you do have to do one of the VIP plans.
It's so funny. I see our adjunct professor of the week, Jennifer, is just listing like, man, my mom is interested in a European cruise. Any chance 2KK will head that way someday? It was funny. Me and Miriam
wants to do a European cruise.
We were already like pressuring Joe and Chris. Like, we would love to go to Europe.
I would love. Listen, I'm all up for organizing cruises. For whether you want to do a cruise on your own or just like a group cruise. To get a group cruise price, we need to sell 8 cabins. That's how we get a group cruise price, where I can get bonuses and things like that. The earlier we do it, the better. I'm all up for doing different things. If you didn't know, I am a travel agent. I specialize in cruises, and I can get you deals. I can a lot of times stick you onto somebody else's group to get you a better deal. For example, Holly from Keto Chow, she's doing a big thing for her son coming home from mission, taking the whole family on an amazing cruise. And I saved her a significant amount of money because I have access to like a global group cruise where I can put you in at that group cruise rate. So if you want to go on a cruise, let us know. And we're happy to, if we're going on a cruise, or if you want to go on a cruise and say, hey, you guys want to come? If we have the time, we are happy to join. Somebody invited us to go on the Panama Canal cruise, which is my bucket list cruise. Unfortunately, it was the same week as Keto Palooza.
Yeah.
And I'm not missing Keto Palooza.
That's right.
Okay, next one we have is from Sarah.
Hey, Sarah G.
Sarah put up this post, said, what will tomorrow look like if you choose to believe in yourself today?
Ooh, I love that so much. This month, the Two Crazy Ketos family focus is the pursuit of more truth. What is true about ourselves? The truth is we're capable. The truth is we're worth investing in. The truth is that we're worth believing in. And what will tomorrow look like truly if we decide to really get that on the inside of us and repeat that truth daily?
Hey, by the way, let us know if the audio is good. So I'm trying a different configuration because we really do like having our good shore mics, but we've always had them in front of our face, and I know people don't like us blocking our face, but the audio is so much better, except for when the air conditioner on. And I know people say they can't hear it. I can hear it when I edit videos, and that annoys me. But we've got them mounted like right here and right here. So I'm hoping that this is close enough to our mouth, but not as obstructive as having them right in front of us. So let us know if the audio is
doing our best,
good.
y'all.
Next one we have is from Skip.
Hey, Skip.
Skip said, I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. I've been living the keto life since June, and the pounds continue to melt away. Down 40 to go. Just have gotten my second order of Keto Chow, and it's been a great addition to my daily regimen. I don't know if I really have any real experience to offer yet, but I've enjoyed everyone's participation and encouragement.
Skip, thank you so much for sharing your journey and saying hi. If it's been a while since you have introduced yourself to the group, there is a lot of new people joining daily, and they need to hear from you. We want to roll out the welcome mat and also stay engaged when it comes to interacting on our social media accounts. So make sure you're like Skip and you're just letting people know that you're here and that you're offering yourself as someone to share journeys with. I love that.
If you are new here, a couple of things about us. Number one, this is our full-time job. We actually used to be children's pastors. We left that to do this because we set ourselves out on a mission to change the world one ribeye at a time. We are all about community, and we really believe that we need to do life together as community, and it's very difficult to do keto without community because there's so many people who don't understand it and are against it, like our friends, our doctors, our loved ones, our coworkers, all of that. So this is our full-time job. If you want to support us, the easiest and best and cheapest way to support us is to simply watch our videos and make sure you comment on them. Comment on every video, even if it's to say hello, because that's engagement, and then YouTube shares that. And when they see that you're engaged with us, then they will share it with other people. And also hitting that like button. Also down below in the description of every video, there are tons of links. If there's anything that we use that you like, use one of our links. We really appreciate that. When you do that, it does give us a couple of pennies. It doesn't cost you anything. If you use any one of our Amazon links and then go buy something else, we still get credit for that. So if you use our link for sucralose and then go buy a $5,000 camera, we get credit for that. We get a couple of pennies. It's Amazon money, which enables us to buy more things for the channel. One of which we're super excited because Skip talked about Keto Chow. I hinted towards a machine from Ninja a couple weeks ago. I'm happy to say we have tackled the problem of having to add sugar, and we're going to bring that with us up to the property in Arcadia, and we'll be filming that this week, and I'm so excited for what this can do for our keto journey with electrolytes, with Keto Chow, and everything else. So excited for that. Also, I want to remind you, if you haven't done so, or even if it's been a while, share your story. Your story is so important. We haven't had a lot of people sharing their stories lately.
It makes me sad.
But when you share your story, it does two things. Number one, when you share your story, it reminds you of where you came from. Sometimes I forget that I used to weigh over 300 pounds.
Same.
Because it's been almost 8 years. And I forget that. I get on a scale, or I look at myself, or my clothes aren't quite fitting, and I'm like, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, I'm a failure. And I need to remind myself, sometimes on a daily basis, but you're not 300 pounds anymore.
That's truth.
You went on a 5-mile hike through the wilderness in Alaska without a wheelchair, without crutches, without a cane. And 7 years ago, you could barely walk across the street.
That's
I have
exactly
to remind
right.
myself. So when you share your story, that reminds you of that. The other thing is it lets other people know that they're not alone. And that's why it's really important. So please, 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 go over to our Mighty Networks group, go over to our Facebook group, share your story. A short, little, quick story. Hi, these are my success. I'm down 40 pounds. I have 40 more pounds to go. Maybe share a couple of pictures. This way we can share that with other people. Next one we have is from Christine.
Hey, Christine.
Quick question, y'all. Which app is best to use for keto? There are so many options. There are. So a couple things about apps. Number one, I'm going to plead with you. Do not use any app to determine your macros.
That's right.
Because they're all wrong.
Yes.
Also, most of them base it on percentages, which is not really good. Like you'll see most of them will say, well, your carbs should be 5 to 10%. Well, if you're somebody like Robert Sykes, Keto Savage, and you're eating close to 4,000 calories, 5 to 10% is a lot of carbs. So percentages is not a good thing. The other thing, a problem with any calculator, is it doesn't know you.
It's a moo-moo. It's trying to be a moo-moo.
It doesn't know you. It doesn't know where your body is, what kind of metabolic flexibility you have. It doesn't know how screwed up you are. Were you like long-term under-eating where your metabolism is slowed down? We always tell people your minimum, your bare minimum. I don't care how small you are, how big you are, how old you are, how young you are, whether you're male, whether you're a female, whatever. Your bare minimum protein should be 100 grams. That's probably not enough. And your fat intake should be no less than 50% of your total calories, and no less than at least 100 grams of protein, because that would be 50-50. But very, very important, when you're using these different apps, what you really want to use them for is for tracking food. If you want to track your food, we're not proponents of eating to tracking, but we are proponents of tracking things in your life, whether it be sleep or your weight or your movement or what you're eating. Tracking in your food sometimes is really good. Like a lot of times when I get a new coaching client, we'll tell them, hey, for the next week, I want you to track so we know where you're at. A lot of us don't know how much we're eating.
Right.
I recently had a coaching client who said, I think I'm eating about 1,700 calories. And when we went over what she was eating, it was less than 1,000 because we don't know.
Well, I was going to say, we lose sight of what is the truth. And so we don't have to be afraid of the truth. A lot of times people are like, I don't want to write down or I don't want to report in because like I'm afraid I'm doing something wrong. But if you're wanting to tweak things, we need to have a baseline.
Yeah, we need to know where you're at, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really important on anything you're doing. You need to know where you're at. So when it comes to apps, the one that we highly recommend, and they have a free and a paid version, there's a link down below. And that is Chronometer. Some people say it's Chronometer. I don't know the correct pronunciation. But what I really like about it is all of the food in there, they really try to verify it. So if you have the gold version, you can become friends with people. And then they can put in their own versions. That can be a slippery slope because people will put in like wrong amount of carbs and stuff. But if you look at, and you'll always know them because they're grade, you know that they're your friend. But all of the things that are entered in, like by food companies, or even if you report, you find a food, it's not in there. For example, I know it is in there, but if like I find salty and I type in salty and it's not in there, it'll actually tell you, take a picture of the nutrition label, put in everything, and then the company will verify that that is correct. The problem with a lot of the other apps out there, like MyFitnessPal and a lot of the other ones, the problem with them is nobody verifies anything. And we all like to lie to ourselves.
Right.
We really do like to lie to ourselves. I'm one of them. Like, for example, when I got started on keto, I would put in something for Aulos, and I would go find the one that said 0 carbs. But Aulos isn't 0 carbs. Well, neither is erythritol.
Well, because some people will input their tracking, and for themselves, they're like, I'm not going to worry about the carbs in this or that.
But that's not the truth.
And so they will just zero it out. They will report it as 0. Yeah. So it's really important that you're making sure that you're getting a verified source.
Yeah, so that's why we always recommend Chronometer. The free version is pretty cheap. I think it's like less than $50 for the year. It gives you a lot of cool things like custom recipes. You can share recipes with other people. So if you use any one of our recipes, we have it in there. And so you can go in and type, cinnamon mug cake -2KK and have all of the nutritional information for that particular thing. Jennifer said, is there caffeine in Coco Loco Salty? I know Chris is in here in case he left. I will tell you there's going to be a touch. So far as I know, you probably get more caffeine walking past a coffee house.
Right.
But there's caffeine in chocolate, and there is cocoa powder in there. But I'll let Chris, if he's still here, jump in on that. But again, it would be a very tiny amount because like you're going to inhale more caffeine walking into a coffee house. Next one is going to be from Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
Great question. Is deli meat like turkey, ham, and roast beef too processed, or is it okay for keto?
Great question, Kathy.
I have to commend the Two Crazy Ketos family. Because when I saw this question,
Did you start to get worried?
I was like, uh-oh.
Sweaty armpits?
She's going to get ripped a new one. Mm-hmm. That people are going to be like, don't you dare, it's a processed food.
Because we see that on different social media networks. We do.
And I was super excited to see everybody being very positive. So thank you to our community for being positive because we welcome everybody, whether you are a carnivore, you're a keto, whether you're not even keto, maybe you're paleo, but you're here for community. If you're just eating a whole foods diet, you're welcome here. And so it was really exciting to see that. The answer is yes. Mm-hmm. You can have processed food. First of all meat is processed. Okay? Can we say this? Like,
are you cutting up that cow?
If you're eating a steak, I've got news for you. It's processed.
It went through a processing.
It has been killed,
center,
butchered, aged, packaged. It's processed. It's just not overly processed, but it is processed. Okay, unless you're running out to the woods and running up to a deer and putting your mouth directly on it and killing it by grabbing it. Sorry, that is graphic, but you know where I'm going. Everything we eat is processed. deli meat is a more processed meat. They usually will add nitrates for preservatives and things like that. Dr. Berry says you can do keto on hot dogs and mustard. Hot dogs are processed. We actually recently did that for you. That video is coming soon. So super excited on that.
Well, and we always encourage you to check the nutritional label. Check the ingredients. Just take a moment, whatever you're buying, flip it over and see what's inside of this thing. And then decide for yourself if it's overly processed or not, or if it has an ingredient that's in it that's like wonky for you. A lot of times we will even check things like bacon and make sure that they haven't added something like brown sugar to it because I don't want to consume the brown sugar. So make sure that you're checking the nutritional label. But I think it's very important for us to keep in mind that there are people entering the keto space that have a very tight budget, a very, very tight budget. And so as much as they would like to only consume Panda Massage meat, as Dr. Berry would say, maybe they need to start with a package of bologna. Maybe they need to start with a cheaper hot dog because they're coming from a budget where they were just eating yakisoba noodles. Like Joe and I raised 3 boys and we were poor. So we were always looking for how cheap can we make dinner.
$3 a day for 5 people.
When the kids were growing up, that was just the budget that our family had. So some people are just trying to make new choices, but they have the same amount of money right now.
Right. So when it comes to deli meat, just be aware, most deli meat's going to have some sugar or dextrose in it. Just like almost all bacon's got sugar in it. It's part of the curing process.
Right.
I go along with Dr. Berry on this. Look at the carb count. Look at the carb count. When it comes to bacon, which is, again, a processed meat, when it comes to bacon, if it's 0 carbs for a reasonable serving, which I would say is no less than 2 slices, even though there's sugar in there, don't worry about it. The sugar gets cooked off in the cooking process. Anyway, it was part of the curing process. Same thing with deli meats. You're probably going to see some dextrose or something like that in there. That's where you look at the carb counts. I would be wary of things like honey ham.
Yeah.
So turkey, roast beef, salami,
Smoked
pepperoni,
ham.
Things like that. Boiled ham, I think you're good. Ham generally will have more. Just be aware. This is, again, where you might want to know your serving sizes because they're going to say it's less than 1 carb or 1 carb for a serving, but a serving is usually 1 ounce, and most of us are going to want to eat more than 1 ounce of deli meat. So it's just something to be aware of. But is deli meat better than eating a box of cereal?
Absolutely.
Or going to McDonald's?
Yes.
Then that's your answer. Go ahead and have your deli meat. We love deli meat.
We do.
Next one is from Donna or Daw.
Hey, Dawa.
How would you recommend starting from scratch? I have a raging sugar carb addiction. I keep trying to jump in, but I fall out just as quickly. Any tips to a seamless transition? Love this question.
Yeah.
Because I like to upset people.
You love to upset people.
I do like to upset people.
That's naughty.
Because you get it's got to be done this way. And my answer for getting started, especially if you have a raging sugar addiction, here's how I want you to get started. And this is for anybody who's new. You're coming from the standard American diet. You have a raging sugar addiction. Week 1, maybe even week 1 and week 2, depending on how bad your sugar addiction is, you have one goal. Don't eat sugar. Mm-hmm. And when I say don't eat sugar, I mean don't eat cupcakes, candy bars, cookies, or any products other than deli meat that has added sugar. Ketchup is a big one.
Yes.
Avoid the salt with the girl with the umbrella on it. It's got sugar in it. Coffee syrups. Anything that's got added sugar for the first week, I want you to just not eat sugar. That's all I want you to do in the first week.
And fill the void with food. If you are full, it is a lot harder for you to want to consume like extra things in dessert. A lot of times what we're doing is we're white knuckling the day trying to consume the least amount of calories possible so that we've saved room for dessert in our day. So make sure that you are full, that you are filling up on fatty cuts of meat, because that is going to kind of like console yourself as you are letting go of one thing. You need to fill the void with something else.
So week 2, here's what you're going to do. You're going to eliminate everything that your body turns into sugar. Now, this is only if you have a raging sugar addiction.
Right.
If you don't have a raging sugar addiction, week 1, you do what I'm telling you for week 1 and week 2 and the same thing. So week 2, everything that turns into sugar in your body, which is carbohydrates, pasta, grains, sugar, starches. So starchy vegetables like potatoes, things like that. I want you to avoid all of that. So no pasta, no grains, no keto-friendly breads. Okay,
Yeah.
So no carbs. I want you to just keep your total carbs under 40 total carbs, where the carbs can only come from vegetables and eggs, coffee, things like that, but nothing else. That's what I want you to do week 2. You're not counting your fat, you're not counting your protein, and you're not counting your calories. You're going to do that for 2, 3, 4 weeks. I promise you're going to have results. If you go from eating 300 to 400 total carbs a day, like the average American, to eating less than 40, you will have results. Even, like I said last week, if you occasionally throw a sweet potato in there. If the only way you can get started is once a week, I need a sweet potato, have the sweet potato.
That's right.
But those are the only carbs you get for the day, because that's going to be 40 total carbs.
It's very important that we do not let perfection rob good, because we are never going to be perfect. We want to aim for better, right? That's progress.
Yeah, for everything else that you hear about, intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, OMAD, ignore them. You're focusing on getting yourself fat adapted. That's all I want you to do. And if you need help, we coach.
Yeah.
So there is a link for our, and you can schedule a coaching call. Next one we have is from Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Does anybody else own Carrie Brown's Keto Ice Cream Scoop Cookbook?
I do.
Mine says use xylitol, no substitutions, but I know Aulos also makes good ice cream and isn't toxic to pets. Also, I've been looking around for cognac flour, which she uses in a few recipes. I'm not sure if it's available in Australia, certainly not showing up on Amazon or iHerb for me. Any thoughts on something else I could use? I keep looking, but so far I've come up empty. Maybe health food shops, Asian grocery stores. So if you're talking about cognac powder in ice cream, you can use Terragum. That might really work. Here's the thing about Carrie Brown's recipe, but I love Carrie Brown. I absolutely love her. She is an amazing chef. Got to work in England, like Queen of England. I mean, ice cream, there is nobody better than Carrie when it comes to ice cream. And though she uses the Cuisinart, like regular ice cream maker, you can make her recipes in any ice cream maker, including the Creamy. Now, the Creamy is a mechanical ice cream maker as opposed to the paddle with the ice, but you can use all of her recipes in that Creamy. One thing about her book, it was written really before Aulos came on the scene.
That's right.
My experience with her recipes is you can substitute Aulos for xylitol. I don't know what Carrie's thoughts are. You might go on Facebook. She messages everybody on Facebook. But I would ask her, I've seen her talk about it, but in my experience, I have subbed Aulos for xylitol because I'm like you, we have a dog. Xylitol is deadly for dogs. However, just be aware that Aulos is only 70% as sweet as sugar. It is not as sweet as xylitol, so you may want to add a few drops of a liquid sweetener to bring that sweetness up to the same as the xylitol. Next one is from Matt.
Hey, Matt Franklin.
I schooled my manager today about the amount of sugar in Gatorade. I saw this going in a totally different direction when I read it. He offered me a packet of it, and I politely declined. Instead, I told him about LMNT and salty. I gave him a packet of each. He was shocked at how much sugar is in Gatorade. He thanked me for the electrolytes and said he couldn't wait to try them.
Well, I love it because he schooled them, and so you're kind of preparing yourself. But Matt is a sweet teacher. He's a nice guy. And so, of course, when he is sharing keto with others, he doesn't make anybody feel bad. He informs them politely. And that really is the goal, that you can say, like, here's a better swap out. And it's nice if you carry salty or LMNT on your person so that people can compare it right away, because they still have that Gatorade bottle in their hand or that Gatorade, packet in their hand, and they can see the ingredients, the carb count, the added sugar versus what you get in a salty.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that Gatorade will actually dehydrate you more. It's kind of a big scam.
It is.
Because sugar dehydrates you, and Gatorade is just loaded with sugar. Next one we have is from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Sean said, this is a powerful image.
Yes, it is.
So it says up on the top, blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of the truth, from Albert Einstein. He said, remember, Big Pharma doesn't want you to get better because they would lose customers. The only way to get better is to eat healthier and move your body. This is so true. And this is so true with everything. We cannot blindly trust Big Pharma. We cannot blindly trust big food. We cannot blindly, I can't believe I'm going to say this, trust our government. We cannot blindly trust the media. Everybody has an agenda. Okay? We're not talking about politics, any of that kind of stuff, that use your own, decisions for that. But the media loves to jump on anything that big food will pay for. And usually that is anti-proper human diet.
It's really important what we are outsourcing to other people. Like, if we're saying, well, I'm not going to be my own advocate for my health, or I'm not going to try to investigate or research things. I'm going to outsource that to big food or big pharma. I'm going to make my doctor solely responsible for researching my needs, or I'm going to have a health organization be solely responsible. They do the research and I just blindly follow. That's how we get into messes. Right? So it's really important that we do, as Jackie is sharing, question everything, and not in a nasty way. We can do our due diligence and our research with the same attitude that Matt Franklin shares keto, like by staying sweet and by remaining calm and at peace. But we need to do that research for ourselves.
Here's the thing. Good example. We know the cure for cancer. They always say, like, oh, we're going to do all this investigation. We need to find we already know the cure for cancer. The cure for cancer is diet and environment.
Yeah.
Proof of that is, go to the Mayan culture. People who live out in the wilderness in true Mayan fashion. They live into their late 90s, 100. Why? Their diet and the environment they're living in. They're not exposed to Wi-Fi. They're not exposed to chemicals. All of that. Now, some of it we in modern society we can control and some we can't. But we know that getting the diet, that's really important. And then controlling our environment as much as we can will help us to reduce our risk of cancer. The problem is the medical industry, the average cancer patient's worth about $300,000. So they really, let's be honest, do they really want to cure cancer when the average medical cancer patient is worth $300,000?
It's a bad business decision. Like, we think about heart decisions, we think about what is right and what is good. Like, what is the good thing to do? What is the right thing? What's the good Samaritan thing to do? Would be to heal people, right? And to help people sustain wellness. But it's a bad business decision. It's a bad business model, because if people get well, they are no longer customers.
Now, I do have to say, just to clear this up so that YouTube doesn't say I'm putting out false information and put a strike on our channel, which they like to do for this kind of stuff. We are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals.
No.
We're two idiots who put ourselves on YouTube.
We sure
and
did.
That statement that I just made, that we know the cure for cancer, that is my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
Okay? That is not medical advice. But it would make sense if we clean up our diet and clean up our environment, that should at least reduce our risk of cancer. Next one is from Anonymous.
Allulose is not a sweetener.
This is from last week.
But an actual sugar. The difference in sugars are allulose is not processed by our bodies the same as sugar. Many people claim allulose as a sweetener. Research. Also, to address the net versus carb, net was more sustainable for me, kept my blood sugar more stable. I lost better and have maintained my goal weight over the years. So please, it's not a one-size-fits-all, assuming that could be the point of success versus failure.
Again, this was in last week, so I'm not going to harp on it. I don't know how I left it in here by accident, but allulose is a sweetener. Anything that sweetens your food, whether it's allulose, whether it is date sugar, whether it's just putting in something that is sweet, like an actual date, that is a sweetener. If the purpose is to sweeten your food, it is a sweetener.
And I also just like one final thought is I know they mentioned net carbs is like something that worked for them. I would say when I meet people, like for every one person that still has success in a net carb protocol, there's like 1,000 other people that do better with a total carb count.
So next one is from Laquetta.
Hey, Laquetta.
It said, I'm going to give these a try. If sweetening with Aulos or erythritol, how much should I start practicing with? And this is Keto Chow Core, unsweetened. So they're unsweetened versions of Keto Chow.
Okay.
So if you didn't know, Keto Chow is sweetened with sucralose. Some people have an issue with sucralose because we have certain people that are out there telling you sucralose is bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. But they're giving you a study which is kind of nonsense. The study is they were feeding the rats obscene amounts of sucralose, more than most of us would consume over a 6 month to a year period, right. And they were giving it to them every single day. So that in itself should raise our red flags. We're also, by the way, not rats, and the rats were not on a ketogenic diet. But some people don't like that, so Keto Chow released their core flavors, which are beef protein, in an unsweetened version. So I would start with Aulos, and the best way, what I would say is this. You can always add, you can't take away.
That's right.
Keto Chow's not cheap. It is a meal replacement, but, on average, you're going to pay, $4 to $5, depending on how you're purchasing it for a meal, which is not expensive. Believe me, we kind of learned that walking through Seattle.
Oh, my goodness.
But you don't want to waste it. So what I would start with, put a tablespoon in. Taste it. Sweet enough. That's good. Oh, it needs a little bit more. Maybe go to a half a tablespoon or a teaspoon. Remember, there's 3 teaspoons to a tablespoon. Add a little bit of time until you get to the sweetness and do your own testing with it. With allulose and with erythritol, just remember this. Number 1, there are carbs in it.
Yes.
Okay? There are carbs in it. There are 4 carbs per teaspoon, and that makes a tablespoon 12 total carbs. Yes, it affects your body differently. Yes, allulose can help to lower your glucose. You still don't want to consume a lot. Ask me how I know. Because in doing my testing for that Ninja machine, I consumed a ridiculous amount of allulose in one day. Like 4 to 5 tablespoons. You're welcome. 48 hours later, that is still resulting in some bathroom pyrotechnics.
Right. So you will have some effects. So it's like you're saying, start out small. I say the same advice when you're trying to incorporate like MCT oil. If you're new to keto and you're like, hey, I hear MCT oil is like where it's at. Oh my gracious. Like make sure that you are starting with like infinitesimal amounts because it adds up very quickly.
Next one is, where is that one again? Okay, from Suzanne.
Hey, Suzanne.
I think I found the solution to my pemmican problem. Why I didn't think of it in the first place is beyond me. So lamb fat should work, right? I make it myself, so I should filter it before mixing with the meat. Yes.
Great idea.
Any animal fat is perfect for making pemmican. If you didn't know, we have a recipe for pemmican. Pemmican is an American Indian way of preserving your meat. It is amazing. It is pretty much what a carnivore bar is. Carnivore bar is just kind enough to make it for you. They do an amazing job.
So good.
And they put it in a nice wrapper, which makes it shelf stable. But any animal fat, but you need to render it down. You need to remove all the water. How do you render down fat? You take the fat, you're going to put it in a slow cooker, and you're just going to cook it and cook it and cook it. That cooks off all the water. And then you run it through a sieve or like cheesecloth or something like that to remove all of the like meat things. Don't throw that out, by the way. Eat it. It's like really good on top of a salad or something like that. And where you now have a pure shelf-stable fat, because a lot of people don't know that animal fats, when you remove all of the water, they're completely shelf-stable. That's why you can put bacon grease on your counter and leave it there for months. Next one is from Denise.
Hey, Denise, just want to say something about the Stello option. As a diabetic for over 25 years while I was working, I was able to obtain meds and glucose meters and accessories for practically nothing. As a retired person on a keto carnivore way of eating, with my A1C of 6.3, no insulin, I had to pay out of pocket for any of my devices, accessories, because I wasn't diabetic enough. So I'm thrilled to be able to get it, to try it out for a more reasonable cost.
Okay, so I want to make it clear. we're not against the Stelo.
We're not.
Bought 4 of them, 2 each, so that we can test it. When I said don't buy the Stelo last week, it was totally based on some of the reviews that I have seen that people are having issues, number 1, with customer service, and number 2, with them falling off rather quickly. We don't want you to waste your money. We are huge proponents of CGMs. I truly believe everybody should wear a CGM at least once for 2 to 4 weeks to see what's going on with their glucose. I believe the CGM makes the A1C test antiquated.
Yes.
And the proof of that is you're seeing carnivores or very strict keto people with elevated A1Cs. Not highly elevated, but elevated. And as Dr. Berry and some other medical professionals have said, is they believe that is because now that you're healthy, your red blood cells are living longer. But the A1C test doesn't know that. And so it's measuring, because it measures the death of everything. So here's the thing, is that your CGM will really tell you what's going on with your glucose, because you're going to be able to learn what's spiking it, like going on a run or exercising or seeing your spouse or taking a shower, all of that stuff. There are other affordable options. And again, this is a step in the right direction.
It is.
The fact that you don't need a prescription is awesome. We do have a link down below for Tastermonial. Tastermonial will write you a prescription for as little as $40, actually even less, depending on how many.
$37 or something.
You know, I think $99 for 6 months worth of prescriptions, and you can get the Freestyle Libre 3 for as little as $80 without insurance. So I'm not saying the Stelo is bad. I'm just saying I don't want you to waste your money. If they have horrible customer service, that's an issue.
So we're going to test it out first. So we're taking it with us. We're going to be wearing the CGM and just seeing, like, what are the differences, because we have worn a variety of CGMs and tried the services. So we can tell you, ahead of time, what are the changes? Is it worth the money? So if you want, just wait until we can release that video so that you can make a decision.
I'm hoping it works great, because I liked Dexcom, but one of the things I liked about Dexcom was the fact that you could calibrate it. My understanding with the Stelo, and if somebody has one already and knows the answer to this and I'm wrong, let me know down in the comment section. But my understanding is you can't calibrate it. So it makes it just like the Freestyle, where you can't calibrate it. That's not a huge deal if you're not on medication, but that is probably why that option, this is specifically for people who are not insulin dependent. But again, we are going to test it on ourselves. Next one, B. Bubba Bella.
Purchased the Stelo and I'm on day 3. I've always wanted a CGM, but they are so expensive and my doctor wouldn't give me a prescription with a 4.6 A1C. Totally understandable. Y'all are correct. It cannot be calibrated, and apparently the customer service is garbage. They close cases before they fix the problem, according to the Facebook group. I was wandering about the house and had my phone in the back. It disconnected and took almost 20 minutes to get back online. So you have to keep your phone nearby. I still like it because it is showing me which foods raise my blood sugar as a 95% carnivore. I would suggest that people continue to use their finger stick for blood sugar numbers during the first few days. Yesterday, there was a 30-point difference between the finger stick and the Stelo. Today, it was 8 points different.
So again, there's just another view. And again, some of that stuff is completely normal with all CGMs. You're going to have variances. A lot of it is based on hydration. A lot of them you all have to have your phone. I know with the Freestyle Libre 3, even if my phone's not there, it's tracking in there. And when it gets back near my phone, it will update where it was. So there's different things to worry about.
This is new. We were talking about, for some reason during the trip, VCRs and DVD players. And I remember our first VCR that my dad purchased, it was $800. Yep. I mean, it was crazy.
And we had a $500 lifetime membership.
Right? But that was new. That was a new piece of technology. And so there were bugs in it. It cost a lot more than it landed on when we continued using a VCR. So this is a step in the right direction. This is a CGM without a prescription needed. This is something that we need in the marketplace, but we're expecting that there's going to be some bugs as we get this thing off the ground running.
Next one's from Leanne. I'm going to try your homemade yogurt recipe, but would like to add a touch of sweetener and vanilla. What kind of sweetener would work best? Powdered, liquid, stevia, sucralose? Thanks. So number one, when you're making the yogurt, don't add anything.
No.
You're going to add your sweetener after your yogurt is done.
When you scoop out a serving for yourself.
If you add it ahead of time, it won't work.
Right.
Okay, so you make your yogurt and then you sweeten it, either the whole batch or... Excuse me, what we do is if we're going to add a sweetener or a flavor, we do it on a per serving basis. Take it out. I use liquid sweetener because it doesn't thicken it, and it also doesn't add carbs. Again, Aulos is going to add carbs. Considering that I limit myself to about 30 total carbs a day, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more, depending on what we're doing. And a lot of times that is from Aulos. A lot of those will come from Aulos. I'm going to choose where I'm going to do it. So for example, the machine that we bought, that will be most of my Aulos. And it is a great way to use it. So if it's Aulos in my yogurt or Aulos in my frozen drink, I'd rather have the frozen drink. So I'll use a liquid sweetener, plus you only need a couple of drops. Like 2 to 4 drops of liquid sucralose will make it perfect. And vanilla, any extract you want, you can use it all with our yogurt.
And again, as you are applying sweetener, like 1 drop of sucralose, mix it up, taste it. See if it's sweet enough before you put in that next drop.
Yeah.
Because like Joe said earlier, you can add, but you can't take away.
Next one's from Luann.
Hey, Luann.
Recently, I heard of wheat and potato resistant starches. What are these? So they say that if you can eat cold potatoes, different things like that, and they are resistant. There's a slight bit of truth to it, but not enough to really impact you on keto. I would not listen to most of these things. It's a way to sell you things. I can tell you our friend Steve has done extensive testing, more than I am willing to subject my body to, and he pretty much found the same thing, where his glucose on a resistant potato still skyrocketed his glucose. So personally, I would avoid it. It's also a way that it's a way for people to justify reintroducing foods that they want that really are not very keto friendly.
Yeah.
Remember, there's no such thing as a keto food. There's keto friendly foods. A keto friendly food would be something that is not going to impact your glucose, that is not inflammatory, and that is generally low in total carbs.
And remember, as we're starting this keto lifestyle, we are shifting our focus from like having fun with food, like food being our sole source of enjoyment and celebration, and like we're having a party because of food, to nutrient density. What does my body actually need to nourish myself and help me live the best life possible? Think about it for a second. Even if you could make a piece of bread, like a wheat, a resistant starch bread or a resistant starch potato, what nutrition are those 2 items really adding to your life? Nothing. There's nothing good that those are going to add. So if you're already having a hard time getting in your protein and your good healthy fats and even some green leafy vegetables, you do not want to try to have room for a less, a starch resistant potato or a piece of bread, right? Like it's just not going to help your journey.
Yeah, it really comes down to its cooking methods and when to eat it. And like overly cooked oatmeal, the way Rachel used to eat it, is 10 times worse than like regularly cooked oatmeal. None of it is good on keto.
It's hard to work these things out of our life. So once they're gone, let them go.
Yeah. Last one we have is from Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
Does coconut milk have enough fat for keto chow? I love talking about this. So there is a little bit of fat in coconut milk. Probably not enough. So also coconut milk is going to be higher in carbs. If you're talking about the canned stuff, okay, there's sugar in it. And I mean, it's not added sugar, but there is sugar in it. You're better off with coconut cream. If you're looking for a coconut source fat, use coconut cream. But what you want to do is you want to take the can of coconut cream and you want to turn it upside down. And then you're going to put it in the refrigerator. And then you're going to let it sit there for a day. Then when you open it up, you're going to have a water on the top or a water on the bottom and then all the fat on top, and you scoop out the solids and throw out the liquids because that's the sugar.
That's right.
And that's the best way to use it. when it comes to Keto Chow will tell you that you need to have at least 10 grams of fat to be able to absorb the vitamins and nutrients. That's the whole reason you're using Keto Chow. Okay, there are loads of protein powders on the market. What makes Keto Chow different is it has 1/3 of the vitamins, electrolytes, and nutrients that you need. You need fat to absorb many of those. That's why a low-fat diet really can harm people, because you need to consume dietary fat. It's not body fat that's going to help you. You need to consume dietary fat. With that being said, Keto Chow is a meal replacement drink. Your Keto Chow really, in my personal opinion, and I know people are going to argue with me, should not be less than 400 to 500 total carbs. Total calories.
400 total carbs would be really bad.
It should not be less than 400 to 500 total calories. And 400 is kind of low. Why? Because nobody should be eating less than about 1,600 calories, because nobody has a BMR that low anyway. So your calories should be 15, 16. Women should be closer to 2,000, 2,200 maintenance. So you should never go lower than 16. If you're lower than 16, you should be reversing your way up and working your way up for a sped up metabolism. So if 1,600, we'll say 1,500 for nice round numbers. If 1,500 calories is your bare minimum and your Keto Chow is one of your meals, each one of your 3 meals should be 500 calories minimum. Why would your Keto Chow only be 300 calories?
Right.
Okay, so to get a Keto Chow to 500 calories, you need approximately 4 tablespoons of melted butter or 4 ounces of heavy cream, because the average Keto Chow is about 120 calories.
I saw Julie has a good question. Are you still happy with your JVR? We are considering using your link. Also, would it be a better deal to wait for Black Friday? Because we are getting close to Black Friday.
So I absolutely love my JVR. I've tried a lot of different vacuum sealers. We've actually been offered some vacuum sealers, some chamber vacuum sealers from other companies, and I've actually turned them down. Because I've researched them. I think they were more expensive, did not provide enough. I tried a couple where I bought them and then tried them, say like, is there a cheaper option out there? And returned them going, I'm not even going to put this out there because it was garbage.
Total garbage.
I think JVR makes the best product for several different reasons. Number one, American company. Number two, it works really well. Number three, and I think this is a used one, is serviceability.
Yes.
So serviceability is huge. A lot of the other ones, and the good ones are all in the same price range, but a lot of the other ones, and especially the inexpensive ones, are almost not serviceable at all. With the JVR, you can service it yourself. They will walk you through how to service it and even send you the parts. A lot of the other ones, if you have a problem, you have to send it into them. You can't easily service it. One thing with the chamber vac, I'm going to implore you, if you're going to spend the money on a chamber vacuum, do not buy an oilless one.
Right.
People are going to tell you oilless is better. Oilless is not better. In a vacuum, in a chamber, in any kind of vacuum sealer, whether you have the old-fashioned food saver or you have a chamber vac, you're dealing with liquids. You know, meat's got liquid in it. When you vacuum seal it, liquid comes up. If that liquid gets into a pump, the pump will fry. So you're going to spend $4, $5, $7, $1,000 on a vacuum sealer, and then if you suck up any liquid and it gets into the pump is shot. An oil unit uses the oil to trap that moisture. So now you just drain out the oil. You can even run it through a filter to reuse it. It's very inexpensive. With the JVR, it's super easy to do. You drain out the oil. There goes all of the moisture that it accumulated, and you've saved it. And I'm going to tell you, it saved me. Anthony did a turkey for Thanksgiving. He tried to brine it, and then he wanted to use my JVR in a big pot, and he put too much liquid, and it sucked at least a cup of liquid into the pump. Had I had an oilless pump, the pump would have been shot. That's $500. But because there's an oil system, it stopped it, and it just fixed. We changed out the oil, and then everything worked. Okay, let's get into the comments. Marnie had a question. Do you folks get regular checkups or go to the doctor? So I am the son of an oncologist. I was raised you go to the doctor when you're dying. What I mean by that is I don't go to the doctor unless something is wrong. However, we do closely monitor our health by getting our own blood work done, talking to doctors, going by how we feel. But I've honestly not needed to go to the doctor. I mean, I do have a pinched nerve. I've had a doctor look at it. I know what it is. I just don't have time to fix it right now because it would mean not being able to use it, and right. I can't afford to do that right now. But so we don't go to the doctor for every little thing. Like, I was never a person when my kids got a cold, go to the doctor. It was, your body will heal it.
Well, it's interesting. We used to go to the doctor for like things like bronchitis, sinusitis, like you got a cold, well, not a cold, but like you got an infection and you're going to the doctor to get an antibiotic. The fact of the matter is we rarely get sick now. Like, when I say that we were sick all of the time, picked up every bug that we came in contact with, now we rarely get sick. So when it comes to, do I go to like a gynecologist? Yes. Do you go to like different doctors for checkups? Yes, we do. We do get regular lab work to make sure that, we're keeping eyes on numbers that are important to us.
Okay, getting into some of the comments. I'm just looking through. We weren't watching the comments, so I just have to find a couple. Denise said, in true Southern fashion, good morning, y'all.
Good morning, y'all.
Donna Joe's here, said, house sitting and fur grandbaby sitting for my daughter this weekend. Been so busy.
It's interesting to have like a different task. You're taking care of animals or someone's plants or something that like you don't normally take care of. And it's amazing how we shift our time to other things, right? Because we need to, because we see it's important. Like, you're going to give the best care to your fur babies, or your child's fur babies, because you know that they're important to your children. So it's interesting, like, we make time for what we see is important.
Okay, Jennifer wants to know, with an Alaskan cruise, I'm wondering what time of day I should schedule the North Star. Okay, so first of all, here's what I'm going to do. If you want to schedule, if you're going on the low-carb cruise, the 2KK cruise, book your excursions, book your drink packages, your Wi-Fi now. You can always price adjust. But the prices do go up. I've seen prices go up. I've seen them say 40% off, but that still makes it higher. So you want to always book now. You can always reprice it later, like on Black Friday. So with the North Star, if you don't know what the North Star is, it's a thing that goes up. It's on the Anthem of the Seas, I believe. It was on the Ovation of the Seas. It's really cool.
It is cool.
We got it cheap. We paid $31. Our first day got canceled. We actually talked about this in our vlog, but it got canceled because of rough seas. And so when we get to reschedule, they were like rescheduling at the higher price, so they had to price adjust it on the ship. But there were other people that had paid like $80, and they were just a little perturbed that like, we got it for $31.
Yeah.
So I'll book it. That's why you want to book it early and then watch Black Friday, because that's where I got that deal. So what we learned was I would suggest booking it on a sea day, not a port day. The reason being is we found out it's a different experience. On a sea day, it goes up over the side of the ship, over back, especially he said he sees whales every day. The guy that's in there was kind of cool. He's like, want to see how hard my job is? He presses the button and then he was done. But he said he sees whales every day. On a port day, it only goes up and down. It doesn't go over the ship.
No.
So you may see the port better, but no, you're not going to see whales. And you're going to get a much shorter trip.
They're in the port.
The only problem with a sea day is you are risking the chance of, if it's really windy, if it's really rough, which is not so much the case in June as we have for September. There's a chance it'll get canceled, but they will allow you to reschedule. They'll refund you or reschedule it. But I would say on a sea day, anytime. I want to say it was about a 30-minute experience.
Yes. So I definitely liked the fact that we did it in like mid-afternoon, because we could still see things. Like if you want to get it really early in the morning and the sun is coming up and it's so bright that everything else is kind of blown out in your vision, you want to just make sure that it is a time of day when you can comfortably see things.
Sean said, sacrifice time typically means sleep for me, which can be really bad. That is my biggest problem. I'm like, oh, I have so much to do, and the thing that I will always sacrifice is my sleep.
But you can make small improvements. Like, no kidding. Check out, like, we'll make sure that we put the link in for the Keto Diet Summit, because we're going to be talking about that. Like, how can you get better in those areas?
B-Dog said, I am studying oxalate dumping. Any tips? So if you're talking about like how to get through it, you just have to grin and bear it.
If you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
Is the message.
So if you don't know what oxalate dumping is, it's when you have a buildup of a lot of oxalates in your body and then you, like, for example, go carnivore or do beef, butter, bacon, eggs. Sometimes your body is going to dump those oxalates. It results in rashes and things like that.
Very painful.
The only way to deal with it is to keep going. It will go away. Nancy said, Rachel,
hey, Nancy,
you have said you use sucralose. Does it knock you out of ketosis? Sucralose should not knock you out of ketosis. It is 0 total carbs. It is 0 on the glycemic index. Sucrose sounds similar, but it is not, is sugar. That will knock you out of ketosis.
And it's interesting because, again, if you're checking like your ketones, if you're asking about that, you're going to see your ketones. We did a video years ago about how like we ate a perfectly keto friendly food. I think it was like hamburgers, egg, and like some cheese. And you see your ketone numbers go down. That doesn't mean that like eating is bad and knocks you out of ketosis, right? Like you want to be able to eat, and that's keto friendly food that you're eating, but you're going to be utilizing the ketones.
Yep. Trey said, anyone who's interested, we're leaving the 2K Case Cruise in December and immediately getting on the Sun Princess for a week. Company is always appreciated. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And anybody who wants to do that, I can help arrange it for you and get you close to Trisha if you want.
And that's fun because it's like you're already packed and ready to go for a cruise. And so if you're going to like have to fly down from like another state to Florida, might as well like, you know, make those.
Yeah, like last year, Marilyn and Albert, or in actually January, they did that. They went immediately to Miami and went on an MSC cruise. So back-to-back cruises I wanted to do back-to-back Alaska. I didn't want to get off the ship. One more thing on sucralose. When you see people say, oh my gosh, you're taking so much of it, it's going to knock you out of ketosis, I cannot begin to explain how little there is. Do you have anything in here?
No, I don't.
No. The amount of, for example, in a keto chow, the amount of sucralose that is on there can fit in the tip of a pen tip. I mean, it's
a granule.
If you have liquid sucralose, use the brand that we use. There's a link for it down below. 2 drops is equal to 2 teaspoons of sugar.
Right.
To sweetness, because it is 700 times or 600 times sweeter than sugar.
That's a lot.
2 drops is equal to the sweetness of 2 teaspoons of sugar. It's like people who say the maltodextrin that is in LMNT will kick them out of ketosis. No, it won't. Because it is 4 grams divided by 1,000.
1,000.
Right? It's like, it's not. If you put your hand on a counter that had something sticky on it, you will get more sugar in your blood that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're exposed to it in the environment. You're going to inhale more sugar walking past the bakery.
I think it's very important for us to remain calm and not, as you like to say, pick pepper out of poop. We're making some big changes, major changes in the way that we eat. Let's not go from loosey-goosey, anything goes, to absolutely fretting about every encounter with food because we're so afraid that we're not perfect, right? Like that is not a good pendulum to like get stuck in that direction.
Sabrina said,
hey, Sabrina.
I hear you about the attitude. I don't know why. As we age, things seem to bother us more. Mark is to have his hip replacement at the end of October, so I'll be in the same boat as you. Easy peasy keto.
Yeah, it is really challenging, and we have to check ourselves. Like a lot of times, you know, you may encounter somebody that's kind of like old and grumpy, like a curmudgeon type of attitude, and we'll say to ourselves like, well, we don't want to be like that when we're at that stage of life, but the reason why it's arrived at is like the daily choices we make until we get to that age. So I think that it's really important that we're constantly checking ourselves on a daily basis. Like, do we have a good attitude? Are we staying at peace? Or are we letting things just upset us all throughout the day?
Sandy said, my husband and I did a Panama Canal cruise in 2019, the year before his blood cancer diagnosis. It is so amazing. Don't put off the bucket list items. Life can change quickly.
That is so, so true, Sandy. Thank you for that reminder.
Bezor said, great to see you guys back in your home studio.
Hey.
Enjoyed seeing your video of the new house. Looking forward to seeing updates.
Well, we'll have some more updates to bring because immediately following Keto Beyond the Couch, we will be heading back up to the property to resume work. That's one of the reasons, aside from the fact that Alaska was absolutely gorgeous and breathtaking, but the fact that we have so much work to do definitely like impacted our desire to like come back home.
Trish said,
Hey,
reminder, tomorrow, Tuesday, pumpkin spice keto chow will be available in a very small quantity.
Very small.
So we got to talk to Chris and Miriam about this on the cruise because we were blessed to go with them. They had known we were going on the cruise, and Chris was like, hey, Miriam and Rachel have the same birthday. Can we jump on with you guys? And it was a blast. I'm so glad they came with us.
Yes.
We had a good time. You know, again, it's all about community. We met them through the keto community. It is a very limited supply that they happen to find. I'm going to tell you, get it early. Use our link. You get 10% off. Buy it early. There's not a lot.
No.
There's not a lot, and everybody wants pumpkin spice. If you didn't know what's going on, keto chow has seasonal flavors. There was a problem. It showed up. It tasted very vitamin-y. That's the best way to describe it. And so Chris was like, not good enough, sent it back. And they're trying to get that issue fixed. They think they have, but they don't know when it's going to come in. So if you want pumpkin spice tomorrow, you better get it. Use our link down below. You'll get 10% off. Jennifer said, just tried salty Coco Loco. OMG, it may be addictive.
It is so delicious. I enjoy drinking it cold or hot now. I mean, just absolutely wonderful. If you're trying to get more electrolytes in and reduce your coffee consumption, I would suggest trying some Coco Loco salty or caramel vibes salty because it resembles coffee or like a sweetened coffee experience without it being coffee, without the caffeine, and without you having to doctor it with a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's a really nice exchange for a coffee experience.
So one thing I will say, I would say the caramel vibes and the Coco Loco are the two salties where I would double up. Like, don't water them down. Like I do. Yeah. I do a salty in 32 ounces pretty much across the board. When it comes to Coco Loco, if you want a true like chocolate milk experience, 16 ounces or double it up. In some of my experiments that I've been working on, like when I doubled it, oh my gosh, it was insane.
Yeah.
John said deer meat is the only meat that avoids inflation. It's still only
a buck. How cute. I love it.
Jerry said, question,
Jerry?
Suggestions on water SodaStream non-sweetened flavorings. True lemon is all I've tried. Lemon juice. You can put salt. You can actually buy bubbly flavoring from them. It works really well. Any kind of extract will work in it. Any kind of, not an emulsion. Any kind of an extract will give you a flavoring. I pretty much do, here's what I do with my SodaStream. We do salty. Rachel just calls angry water, which is just sparkling water. And then also I'll use Element, Redmond, Relight. When I say salty, I mean all those are the three that we use. Redmond, Element, and salty. Links for all of them down below. We use all three of them. And then I will use two of their syrups. I use the Pepsi 1 syrup and I use the Mountain Dew 0 syrup as a treat for myself because soda's expensive. I haven't bought soda in so long, and we were going to treat ourselves to soda working on the house, and then I was like, $10 a case? No, thank you. $10 for 12 cans is like, no. So I'll do it that way. Sean said, our daughter loves Spam. I think it's still better than most things.
So stinking true. Absolutely. There's something that is absolutely like, you know, what we talked about, lunch meat, hot dogs. Like, it is not a choice cut of meat. However, eating Spam is like 1,000,000 times better than what I used to eat for dinner that really had no nutritional value at all.
Sean, I read that one. I just read. So Andy said,
Andy.
I've started day one so many times I've lost count. The past few weeks have been very stressful. Today is day one. I've already eaten the bad stuff in the house that I found. It's gone, so today is day one.
That is really important. And Andy, I love the fact that like you're noting today is a new day. Today is a fresh start. What I will say moving forward is stop bringing stuff in the house. And this isn't to call Andy out. This is for all of us to remember. And this is even when it comes to keto-friendly things. When we were on the cruise, I ate nuts that were available, things like almonds and walnuts, and Joe ate cheese. We both struggle with those things individually. Like Joe has a hard time like regimenting his cheese consumption.
Wait till you see the cruise vlog.
I have a hard time stopping when it comes to eating nuts. Like these are, keto-friendly things, but we have trouble with it. So when we go to the grocery store this week, if we're, have a grocery stop, guess what will not be coming into the basket? Cheese and nuts. Because we don't want to consume that. So, if you have something that you have struggled with, don't buy it in the future. If you're saying, well, there's people in my household that do like things that are undermining to me, have a conversation with those people in the household. Let them know that you are not interested in like policing all of the food that they eat. But let's say that there's a specific brand of cereal that you have a hard time avoiding. Ask those people in the house if they want to purchase that cereal. Can you switch out the cereal that you're consuming to something else so I don't have to look at it in the house? That's a nice place of compromise that you can have.
Speaking of grocery stores, if you have a Publix, thank you. I don't remember who it was that said in our Mighty Networks group. I can tell you I will be taking advantage of this. But this week, Bubby's Pickles, buy one, get one free.
Love those.
And Bubby's Pickles, in my personal opinion, are the best pickles out there, but they're $10 a jar. So I will definitely be taking advantage of buy one, get one free. Easy Peasy Keto said, what do people drink besides coffee, tea, and water that is uncarbonated? I get terrible ankle joint pain from everything with carbonation. I know I'm weird.
No, you're not weird.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's we drink electrolytes. That's going to have a flavor to it, but a lot of times, I just cold water is the option for me. I know like temperature is a big thing. People are like, well, do I like things that are flat or like things that are carbonated? To me, a lot goes into the temperature and also the glass that I use to enjoy that beverage. I find that a mason jar is like, I enjoy the beverage that's inside of a mason jar. It's not affecting it. It's the same liquid, right? But there's just something magical for me when it comes to a mason jar.
Okay, before we get off, I have a few more I want to go through. Karen said, are the new RX Aulos flavored sticks worth trying as a drink? So we did it. I put a video out the other day. We filmed it a while ago, but I finally got around to editing it. So I put it out the other day. My personal opinion, no. They actually tell you it's supposed to be eaten like a piece of, like almost like a pixie stick. It takes a long time to dissolve. And it doesn't, it was good.
It was delicious.
But it doesn't add a lot of sweetness. It adds more of, it gives a little bit of flavor with a hint of sweetness.
It's a piece of candy.
Right, and I think it's better to consume them that way. If you're looking to use those sticks as like, I want a fruit punch, it's not going to do it.
You know what's another thing? Because I see that Gabriel or Paul's mom says that they agree with the mason jar. You know what my grandparents used to drink out of a lot? I don't know if I'm the only one. Talk about like I'm a little strange. Cans. Like when you were done with like getting green beans out of a can, we use the can as a drink, as a cup.
Right.
Like that's crazy, but true.
Okay, Teresa said, what? The Umbrella Girl salt includes sugar? Hadn't heard that one. So look on the ingredient label, and second ingredient is dextrose. Dextrose is sugar. Donna said, is it possible to strain Faya yogurt to not have so many carbs? I've been eating way too much of it and gained weight. Can you? Yes. You're better off making your own. If you have an Instapot, then with a yogurt setting, buy some Faya yogurt, or you can even just go online onto Amazon and buy yogurt cultures. It's honestly cheaper to buy a small cup of Faya yogurt. Get a couple containers or one. You only need really one container. of
Fairlife
milk. The reason we use Fairlife is it's 50% less sugar. And then you put 1 or 2 spoons of the Faya yogurt in, press the yogurt button, 10 hours later you have yogurt with a quarter to half the carbs of Faya yogurt. Actually, I think it's even less than that. It's also not just gaining weight from eating yogurt. It's dairy. It is fat. It does have fat in it. Please don't eat 0% fat yogurt. It's not that good for you. You need the fat. And again, everything is rounded. When you have a lower fat yogurt, it actually has more sugar in it, but it doesn't reflect it because of the rounding and the serving sizes. I would definitely limit yourself when it comes to the yogurt because dairy can cause inflammation in most people. Juliana said, in the Army we say trust, but verify. I trust 2KK, but I always verify on my own. Yeah. Any change I'm about to make. Blind trust is dangerous. Period.
Absolutely. And again, it's like you're verifying, you're researching for yourself. You know, we report things that we've learned and how things react in our bodies, and it's also going to be lined up with our priorities. That's not a moo-moo. You have to do research for yourself. A lot of people are like, hey, tell me what macros I need, how much fat do I need? Like, I don't want to do any investigation. I don't want to do any research on myself. I just want somebody to just tell me what to do. No, you don't. You are worth the energy investment of figuring out what works for you.
So Juliana said, yeah, with a fat content. Canned coconut milk, yes. And refrigerated coconut, no. Yeah, refrigerated coconut milk is garbage. 3 total carbs, 9 grams of fat in my can right now. 2 ingredients, coconut and water, so a tiny bit more. And you're golden if the macros. But again, in my opinion, 10 grams of fat is not enough. Sean said, question, is there something different you have to do to make a creamy with keto chocolate? I've made some over the weekend and they were a little clumpy using butter and a little bit of heavy cream. Make sure you're mixing it in a blender. And if you're using butter, make sure you're using warm water. So you've got to, if you don't use warm water with butter, it's going to become clumpy. But other than that, no. You do have to, I find with keto chow core, because it's a beef protein, you have to use a blender really to get a good smoothness.
I love how mommy says, hey, the cans were a cheap Stanley cup back in the day. That is so true. Because if you used a can to drink out of, it made things very, very cold.
So Peggy said, I tried Aulos, I had gastrointestinal issues. So most sweeteners that are not sugar, that are what we would consider keto friendly, consuming too much of them will cause bathroom pyrotechnics.
Right.
Why? Because your body is not metabolizing it the same. You're consuming too much of it probably. That's the day. That's why we believe in counting total carbs so that you don't consume too much of it. If something's got 60 grams of allulose, I'm telling you, you're going to spend a few hours on the toilet. But if it's got 60 grams of allulose, it's got 60 carbs. And if you're limiting your total carbs to 30 or 40 total in a day or less, you wouldn't consume it, and therefore you won't spend your life on the toilet.
Well, it's also important to remember whenever you are introducing a new ingredient to your life, you're going to have a reaction. Like no matter what, when you start eating meat, and we didn't prioritize meat. Like when I started eating red meat after 2 solid years of never having red meat go through my lips, there was a reaction. My body reacted to that. If you have been following more of a strict carnivore protocol and then you reintroduce broccoli, I hear people say all the time, like, my body is broken for broccoli. No, it's new again. So just like wade into those waters, like slowly. Don't have a month of nothing but carnivore and then just like have an entire bag of broccoli florets. You're gonna like have some major gas as a result of that. So just make sure you're wading into everything very calmly and slowly.
So a few more before we get off. John said, I used to get lots of issues pre-keto, tonsillitis, bronchitis, laryngitis, all at once. Haven't had them in 2 years because your body can heal.
And again, sometimes we like fixate on how much weight am I losing and how fast am I losing it. But like, how much, John, is your life better because you're not always having to push pause on family, on work, on your plans for sickness.
Yep.
Like, it's really nice for us to be able to know that we were going to be able to work on the house, then go to a cruise in a completely different weather environment with a whole bunch of people on that boat, and then come back and get right back to life.
That's right. Carmen said, question, really just asking an opinion. I had a tooth extraction and some implants done. The dentist prescribed a Z-Pack and a Metarol pack. I didn't take the latter. I have never before and didn't want SC. Okay, so Z-Pack, yes. You had to, as somebody who had $30,000 worth of dental work a couple years ago, I had to miss the low-carb cruise because of it. I am not a huge proponent of antibiotics the way some people will do them. Like, my kid has a green runny nose. I'm going to give him antibiotics. Please don't do that. Just let it run its course. Their body will heal. I think we over-antibiotic in this country, which is why we have to have more powerful antibiotics, and then our bodies become resistant to those, and then antibiotics eventually don't work.
Makes sense.
But sometimes we need them. Antibiotics can save your life. You had extractions. Please take your antibiotics. Please take your antibiotics. Painkillers, my opinion, if you can get through it, get through it. If you need it, use it. That's, I try to avoid things like Tylenol and stuff. That's all going to impact your health. It's going to bring inflammation. But your health is more important. So if it's going to fix a problem, not hide a symptom, but if it's going to fix a problem, for example, using an antibiotic, take it. If it's going to mask a symptom, i.e. painkillers, cold medications, things like that, if you can, in my opinion, what I would do for myself is avoid if possible. If you can just get through it, get through it. If you can't, use it.
Don't feel bad about that.
Yep. 2 left. Darla said, I'm starting to see smartwatches with blood sugar readings. Yeah, Apple's been talking about it for years. Hopefully they do it. I figure if anybody's going to be able to do it, it's going to be Apple. And hopefully they can. When I see these little things from China and stuff, I'm kind of leery. Too good to be true. Like, I don't even know how Apple's going to do it. How are you going to measure my glucose without puncturing my skin? Like, I really want to know how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Somebody did ask about us testing the Abbott version. When we can get our hands on an Abbott version of an over-the-counter CGM, we will absolutely try it. Last one from Crystal. Joe and Rachel, I'm going to Universal and Disney. Where would you suggest eating? So if you were going to eat in the park, okay, Universal Studios in Florida. We have lots of videos on this.
I like the City Walk area.
Universal Studios in Florida, my suggestion is do not eat in the park. Because number one, it's expensive, and number two, you're going to pay for a lot of stuff that you're not going to be able to consume, like the French fries, the bread, things like that. Never forget, a couple of years ago, we were talking about it on the cruise. We went to Universal, Chris and Miriam. We went into the Popeyes, or one of those places over there. It was the one across from Popeyes. She got like a tuna sub and said, I don't want the bread. The girl put the scoop on and she was like,
This is pitiful.
This is pitiful. I'm going to give you an extra scoop because I feel bad that you have no food. Because it just occurred to her, like, you're getting 90% bread. And this wasn't Miriam. It occurred to the cashier that the bread is 90% of your food.
This is unreasonable.
My suggestion is, like Rachel said, go to City Walk. Moe's is a really good option. All the restaurants out there, there's a Burger King, all the restaurants out there, you can make substitutions and you're going to save money. There are a couple of places in Universal, but my suggestion would be just walk out the City Walk, eat there, and then go back into the park. Disney World, the best suggestion that we can make, we have videos on this, is go to one of the all-you-care-to-enjoy restaurants.
Right.
Yes, they're expensive. They're like $50.
But it's going to be $25 for you to get something like just a hamburger and then not eat the bun, not eat the fries. Like, it's really more cost effective for you to just have one meal a day and make it a really good meal.
Go in, load up. The all you care to enjoy even covers your sodas.
Yeah.
So it covers your drinks. There are a lot. We've done several of them. We still need to do some of the other ones. If you go to Epcot, the all you care to enjoy in Germany.
That was excellent.
Amazing. It's all sausages and stuff. Really amazing. The character ones are all really good. You pay a little bit more. The non-character ones in Disney, in Magic Kingdom, are a little bit less if you don't do the character one. It's more family style where they bring you plates, but again, you can keep it keto. If you go to the character ones, you pay a little bit more money because of characters, but you have a bigger buffet. Little trick to the character ones. Go about a half hour. Schedule your time about a half hour before lunch. So they have breakfast and then lunch. Schedule your time about a half hour before before lunch. Breakfast is cheaper, like $15 cheaper. You will now pay the breakfast price. You just stay there.
Yeah.
And now you get some of the breakfast items, which are really good. And then the lunch stuff starts piling on. So you're getting lunch at a breakfast price. Little hack for you. But you can we've got loads of videos on how to keep it keto at Disney and Universal.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to be the video. We're going to go pack up the truck, head on up to the house. We got to mow the lawn today. It hasn't been mowed in a couple weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
We will be back live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
We love you guys.
Bye.